Anno 117 has just come out today, and many of you will be jumping into not just this installment, but this series for the first time. I've partnered with Ubisoft to give you this quick tutorial on how to make more money in Anno 117. So a huge shout out and thank you to them for sponsoring this video. If you're a veteran of this series, this might be self-explanatory, but understanding income is the key to expanding to different islands, building more elaborate cities, and pushing your tech in Anno 117. Now, this is your first time on my channel. The way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos. So with that being said, let me give you the big 3 things you need to focus on to get more money. First, simply meeting the needs of your pops is going to bankroll you so much in this game. Having money problems? Build more houses and meet their needs. That's truly the single fastest way to get money because the buildings you need to build are your other method. So secondly, build AoE buildings that give you a plus income per house affected in densely populated areas to maximize hitting a need and double dipping to get more money. Be careful though, as sometimes those buildings will come at a price, such as fire hazards, health drops, and morale decreases. Lastly, make sure you have active trade routes to your allies or the Emperor's representative, selling them any resource that you're producing tons of. Don't let resources just sit in your warehouse doing nothing. You can also set some of that surplus to sell to any passing traders. Establish those trade routes and have passive trade income coming your way to spike your mid-game revenue. But that's too long didn't watch this entire video. I'll be giving you further details and concrete examples of how this all comes together. But if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters with the timeline in the description. And if you are heading out and you found the information in this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Remember, Anno 117 Pax Romana just released on PC across Ubisoft Connect, Steam, and the Epic Game Store, as well as on Xbox and PS5. So if you haven't bought the game just yet, make sure you check out the link in my description to pick it up. Lastly, you can find a link to my Twitch where I'll be playing Anno live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Let's get started on how to make money fast in Anno 117. Loading into the game, let's take a look at this city. Now, if you're a veteran of Anno, you'll notice that there are some things that are wrong with this city. I've deliberately put them this way to help show this off in the video. So just as a heads up there. Now, we're taking a look at a city that's still very early in the game. So this should give you a way on how to make money without having to drive crazy into a certain resource or what have you. While you still can do those things, let's kind of focus on this. So the biggest thing that we're going to do to drive our money is simply create residence. A residence is going to have needs, and those needs, by meeting those needs, we're going to get money. So let's go ahead and take a look at any of these Liberty houses. And this Libertus residence over here, we can see it's got all of its needs, right? And if I look at them, this is going to give me food, this is going to give me porridge, all sorts of stuff. We have a market, we have a tavern, we have tunics, we have Pilius. Now, by looking at these needs, we get a really good idea of what's going to happen. So just by looking at sardines, we get income. Just going over to the market, we get income. Tavern, I don't think, yeah. If we look at both the tunic and the Pilius, we get income. So just this one house is going to give us, you can see at the very bottom there, it says needs or need attributes. By meeting the needs of this Pilius, we're going to get +1, +2, now at 3 income for the tunic, plus another one for 4, and then plus another one for 5. So just by placing one of these, we're going to get 5 gold every quote unquote tick, turn, whatever you want to call it. It just goes into this stash of income right there. You can see my income almost predominantly comes from residents and area of effects and specialists, which we'll get into in a little bit. There is also a portion of this that we'll talk about when it comes to trade as well. Now, that is your basic understanding of income. And if we take a look at the plebeians, we'll go to another one of their actual locations. The plebes, they all have the same thing. They still need those sardines, but now they need bread. And bread is going to give us an income. Garum is going to give us 2 income there as we jump down into these. Sandals make income. I don't, soap does not. And I think, yeah, it was olive oil that also gives us income. So you can see that by meeting the needs of our individual residents, we're going to get a ton of money. And so that means just building blocks of houses. I make houses like this. You can make them super efficient if you want to. I like to do a little bit of a role play when I do it, so it looks like this is the way that Rome would have designed its houses in certain colonies and what have you. So meeting the needs is your first thing, but there's more to just meeting the needs. You also want to take a look. Okay. You yelling at me, lady. You also can take a look at the individual things that making the needs is going to give you. So what I mean by that is the area of effect. So let's take a look now. So every single building, well, majority of buildings are going to have some sort of area of effect as you get later into the game. So what I mean by that is, let's look over here at the plebes once more. For their food, they love bread. Bread, just by having that need, we've already established that gives us +1 income. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bread food chain. So it will produce wheat, wheat will then produce flour, and then flour will then produce bread. Now the bakery here is a building that produces bread. You can see at the very top it says need attributes +2 to population +1 to income, but look at that below that, area of effect, income +2. Now, of course, it also has a massive -2 to fire safety. What that is telling me is every building that the bakery is around, each building will give me +2 income. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Right now, my bakery, if I hover over this, you can see if you hover over anything like this, it shows you where all the items in the chain are. My bakery is all the way over here because this is all like my fire hazard stuff. Well, that bakery is not helping anyone out. So if I bring this over here, this is showing me that all those little icons are saying, hey, this need has already been met here. But all those icons are actually money I'm going to get that I'm sleeping on right now. So you can't see with the relocate button. I'm going to go ahead and just press this and build a baker to show you what this is going to do. So you can see that this, if I look on the right side, 56 buildings are affected by -2 fire safety, which is unfortunate, but +2 income. So that means I'm going to get, just by having my baker over there, 112 income per quote unquote turn. I'm just going to say turn, the terminology I'm going to use for this. But I also have to offset that with the capability that I have to now deal with fire. So let me move my baker over here. And you can see this is already right next to a vigilance. So it's, if the fire breaks out, it's right there. So this went from 500 whatever to now 649 because that baker is right next to it. So there's a lot of ways that you should be really taking advantage of these area of effects, but knowing how to balance this. It's not necessarily slamming all these buildings together. If you want to play hard and fast and put your baker in the center of the city and drive as much income from it as you can, by all means, do it. You can go crazy with it. Just make sure you can offset that fire. As you can see, this also went up from like 30 something to now 149. So I have to offset that. Well, let's look at some other examples here. Garum, I think, has the same thing. This is going to give me income, but it's also going to reduce my happiness. So my Garum building is, if you can see over here, it's affecting 55 buildings. So that's actually 55, basically it's 110 negative to happiness. But I've got tons of happiness. I'm not too worried about it. And you can see if I hover over this icon at the very top, the little smiley face, it shows me, I can't unfortunately go down with a cursor on this. It shows me from needs, I'm getting all these benefits, but from area of effects and specialists, I'm getting -104 because of where my Garum is placed. So that gives you a sense of how that, how the area of effect is affecting me, right? 104 is negative on the happiness, but if we come over here to my island income, I can see that my Garum is +52 on income there, right? So, and there's that little bread icon, so +110 from that bread now. So we get to kind of balance out these individual things as we place them throughout our cities. I don't think the sandals have one. Oh, area effect +1 for sandals. There we go. What a great video I've got. So my sandal one is over here, right? Affecting all of these buildings, which is in this location, giving me a +65. Or the hats are +56. All of my fish over there +96. The taverns +33. So you get all these really good things from the area of effective things. But there's also specialists. Let's take a look at that, and also your villa. So this is my city. Looks pretty cool, looks very idyllic. We have this really cool shrine in the center of Poseidon. In the background there, we have my villa over on the mount. But it's not necessarily right now, is it? The villa is a very central piece to your entire city. So let me show you why this is unfortunately wrong. And I'm going to just do some really slapshotty moving around, so don't worry about it. But you can see right here, we have our governor's villa. It's a specialist building. It's very important to every city, and it produces prestige for us. Prestige is this guy right here. Positive attribute can trigger the following festival. But it also gives us a better, let's just say, look in the eyes of other governors, all sorts of stuff. But also within these buildings are specialists. Specialists give you benefits. Let's go ahead and click this one. We have a specialist here. Happiness from taverns, health from taverns, and knowledge from taverns. Also, income area of effect plus 1.5 for markets. So this is a bit of a compounding one. So markets in range, income area of effect is plus 1.5. Let's look at our, let's look at one of the market. So a market gives us a current area of effect of 1, right? Well, by having that specialist there, and remember how that works, that's every single building that is affected by this market, as you can see by me clicking it, gets that plus 1 to income. Well, now if I put my villa next to that, it gets 1 plus the 1.5, multiply that by all the buildings. That's a lot of math. But if I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this up here. Right now, taverns say 35. That's the important thing to take a look at. We're going to go ahead and just, like I said, we're going to just do this all rough, like. No, I can't. It'll be okay. I'll put that there and slap this around it. It'll be fine. And then we're just going to slap this thing over here. Just for the sake of this video, I have to clean up this whole entire situation, but and we'll put a road there so it connects in. Oops. There we go. That's now connected. We're going to unpause the game. And you can see that went from 650 to 770 because markets have 33, but now it's going to be way more because of this improving the income area of effect. This says now plus 3. So population plus 1, income plus 1, and then income plus 1.5. So quite a huge increase there. I was showing you the market value on from areas, effects, and specialists. It should be from needs because that's where the benefit goes. So you can see that just by that simple move of bringing this in, and this doesn't need to be your villa. It's mainly you need to have access to a fish or a specialist in this location. So if I wanted to, we'll press pause again. I'll bring this guy back up here, slap him there. I could have built an officium, which you can't have overlapping circles here. Let's just bring it down here. So I could have made this building and put the I could have had my specialist in that building instead rather than over here. You don't need to have the villa necessarily, but you need to have something that'll house a specialist to get those specialists building, increasing the AoE effect and the needs of all of your buildings. It's pretty much this point connects us to our previous points that we've already talked about. But now let's go into trade. Trade is done in a number of ways. And the biggest way is, well, the easiest way is passive trade. This is not necessarily the most lucrative, but it's one that you can take advantage of. So right now, you can see on all these things I've got, I have plenty of surplus here, right? Like, let's take a look at timber, or oats, or sheep. I'm going to go ahead and click sheep. Well, right now, I can trade single goods or all goods, but we're looking at single goods specifically here because we're looking at sheep. And you know what? I want to sell sheep. And anytime we're above, let's just say 200, we're going to sell sheep down to a minimum 180. Oops. Let me do that. So in this case, I've got 210 sheep. That's triggering the capability to sell these sheep since we're above 200. And we're going to sell down to 180. Now, this isn't going to be an immediate thing because unlike a lot of the other sources of income that we've talked about, this one actually is very passive, like I said. So the only way that this is actually going to be taken advantage of is, oh, that's going to my other end, is if the passive trader on the map wants to go buy these things. So in this example, they are requesting for, or I'm sorry, they're paying for clay. So if they actually have a need for it, they'll come over to my island because they're going to be jumping around from island to island and they'll go and buy clay. But I've already put sheep up there, so they're really not going to buy it. But this is an example where passive trading can be beneficial because it's showing that this is on offer basically, right? Hey, I'm selling sheep right now. Come on over to my port and buy some sheep. But the best way is to do active trading and exporting goods. Now, exporting goods, there's down to 2 ways to do this. Right now, I'm looking at the representative to the Emperor's dock, but you can see this is the free trader, the neutral trader. I can establish a trade route with her where I sell her clay. But this is a specialized trader having specific things on offer and on request. They only want these 4 items and they're only offering those 2 items. I can sell them or buy them, whatever it is. But the big thing here is this trader right here, Diana's Harbor. So since she's the Emperor's representative, every single Emperor's representative, there's one on every map, has this. This trader will buy anything you have to offer. So theoretically then, you would offer anything that you have excess of. I'm going to go back to my island really quick. I know the street tool's right there. And let's just take a look again. I've got so many sheep, so we could sell sheep. I'm going to put no trade there and just ignore all that. I can sell sheep. I can sell so many tiles. I've got clay just coming out my ass. I've got so many things that we can just... Weapons are really good to sell because they sell at an astounding rate. I think it's something like 40 or 30 gold each. So we then press this button, the trade routes, or just press T, whichever one you want. And we go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and delete this one because I made it earlier. We're going to press new trade routes. And from here, we're going to add a ship. I'm going to add my flagship here, even though I've got a civilian ship. It's basically ferrying to and from my own island. So this is my parent island. This is my offshoot island, and it's ferrying goods back and forth. So that is a way that you can use exporting goods that is not not linked to making you money. In this case, though, we want to make money. So we're going to click on my place first because we're coming from this location. Every single trade route will start with the location that the goods are coming from. And then the second location will be the place that the goods are going to. That is really all you need to do. You can then click again back if you want. It's up to you. I've heard that sometimes it's bugs out and you need to do this. I have another route that I don't do that and it's just fine. But for the sake of this video, I'm showing you both. So first we need to talk about what we're going to sell. So we're going to go with sheep, right? Because sheep we have got so much of. I'm going to go ahead and pause this in the meantime, so we're not getting things pop up. And we've got so much clay, right? So let's put sheep and clay on here. So now we are going to load this good up to be sold. You can see the plus sign there. It means it's now loaded into my hold. Stop that. Let's just bring this down to 30. And this down to 30. We've got plenty, but you know what? Whatever. Now, the top column here, I guess you could say, the top row, because this is a column, the top row is the sell good. So now that we've loaded into the ship, we have to press this button to then unload it or sell it at that location. For this one, we don't need to do anything because it's just coming back to where we're going to start the loop again. And then we just press establish route. Boom, we're done. It will go ahead and do that entire route for me. Like I said before, this is another example of me going to and from a location, just ferrying goods. But this is probably the single largest production of gold that you can get in the game outside of outright doing all the things we've talked about previously. Now, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and it is going to be up to you, the player, on how you address it because it is related to your technology. So our last subject is on both research and religion, because both of these can help you out actively or passively. Now, what I mean by passively when it comes to research, there are a lot of researches that are going to reduce the upkeep of something. So take a look at this one, for example. It reduces the workforce needed and the upkeep cost. Or one over here, this is going to reduce the upkeep cost of walls. So these are going to be passive forms of getting more income from things that you've already realized the production of, right? Now, there are active forms of income from the research tree. Let me give you 2 examples. This one right here, market forces. Remember we talked about AoE buildings and then we talked about specialists? Well, now markets have a 25% increased effect range. So now that AoE building is even bigger in its area of effect, and also specialists are going to have more of an effect because there are that 25% is active. Now, another one too is something like fish markets. which now fishing huts and cockle pickers now have income area effect +3. So you can see how that just directly gives you more money from something that's already been produced. I'm not producing any. I'm just going to click something right now because this is bothering me. I'm not researching something. So research helps out a ton, but there's also religion, and religion maybe isn't as self-explanatory because it's not just like, hey, now you're going to have money because you're worshiping this god. Not quite. So if I take a look at Neptune here, now my increased production of sardines, and maybe I can now sell sardines. Or if I look down over here to Ceres, all of these things, we already talked about bread, right? That increases our production of everything. The entire chain is affected when you are giving the increased production of one thing from a god. But also too, like Ceres, for example, all residents provide additional population. We talked about how populations have needs, and those needs equal money. That is just cash flow if you're worshiping Ceres. Or we talked very briefly about weapons. You can just worship Mars, produce a bunch of weapons, and sell the weapons. You'll get tons of money. So there's lots of ways that playing around with each one of the individual gods will give you more sources of income. Again, we have the tunics, but also additional knowledge. So now we can jump to more texts that will give us more income. So there's a lot of different ways to drive money to your city in Anno 117. It can be from an active thing of saying, hey, I'm just going to make a bunch of houses. It can be the AoE of your buildings. It can be exporting and importing goods. It can be trading. It can be your tech, your gods, whatever it is. So hopefully now this gives you a better idea on how to make money in the game. And if you have any kind of tips that you have discovered in your playthrough of Anno, go ahead and let it be known in the comment section below. Like maybe you're saying, hey, I've made this a ton of jasmine in one island that has jasmine specifically, and then I just export that to everyone and it's just been banking me. Whatever it is, go ahead and let it be known below. A huge reminder again that Anno 117 Pax Romana is out on PC across Ubisoft Connect, Steam, as well as the Epic Game Store, and you can also play the game on Xbox and on PS5. You can find that link below. So if you have not yet picked up the game, click that link and get jumping into Anno 117. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.